What is up, guys? Jake from A&J Sports here. Welcome to today's video. With the season, the 24-25 season just on the horizon, the transfer window only less than 30 days remaining. Big talks going all across the football world at the minute. Speculations, transfer rumours, loan deals still going on. But we're going to be looking more specifically at Juventus. So far, this window has been very, very promising. We have signed top quality players in Thuram, Douglas Luiz, Capel, and we are in deep negotiations right now to sign Coop Mainers. And we have gotten rid of more dead weight, in my opinion. The likes of Moise Kean, who has not been having the best times at Juventus, is gone to Fiorentina. And we are looking to push more players out, which is a bit more what I wanted to talk about. We had a friendly the other day against Brest, and the players that were not selected for that friendly game, Motta has come out and said they are no longer going to be part of the project with Juventus. And we're going to be going through each player individually. And most I agree with, heavily agree with. Some I'm kind of 50-50 on the fence. Like, I'm not too sure whether we should just cut our ties for them straight away. And then there's a couple that I just heavily disagree with. And I am just absolutely shocked that Motta will come out and say, at this early point of being appointed as the Juventus manager, and saying he does not want these players part of the project. We're going to go through the ones that I do agree with. First and foremost, we will be looking at is Filip Kostic. Kostic did not get selected for the Brest game, and Motta has included him as one of the players that is no longer part of the project, which I heavily agree with. Last season, just having a very below standard performance overall. Season before, his first season with Juventus, I looked at his performances, I looked at his quality, what he can offer on the pitch. And I was pretty happy with his first season for Juventus. Solid left wing back, can track back, offers a lot going forward, picked up quite a few assists, scored some important goals as well. But this season, just absolutely below par. Just hardly offered anything going forward in terms of his... I mean, it weren't actually... Do you know what? Statistically, you could look at it. He didn't do that much worse than what he did in his first season. But if you honestly looked at his performances, his positioning was all over the place. So inconsistent. Like, sometimes he could do the right things, but then when it got to the final third, the final pivot, or where we were trying to produce something going forward, he just didn't deliver. Defensively, he was just so vulnerable at the back. And with the fact that he hasn't got age on his side, he's entered his 30s. He is, on his day, a decent player. But we can't just say on his day. Like, we need consistency. Even if everything doesn't come out well during the game, I want to see more desire, more hunger. I want to see like him making a mistake and working his arse off to rectify that mistake. And last season, I did not see it at all. If this was the case, he was a young, up-and-coming player. He was in his early 20s or even his teenage years. You would think of it as like he's still young, learning the ropes. He can have time to adjust. We just bring in someone to replace him for the time being and let him learn his craft. That's not the case. He's a very experienced player. He's been around for a long period of time. And we can't wait on Kostic to find his feet because, you know, age is not on his side. And he didn't perform last year and was pretty poor in the most important of games. So, Filip Kostic, I agree with 100%. We could sell him, just add a little bit more to the transfer budget because I don't see us getting a lot for him. And I agree with that. He should not be part of the team. Another one, Arthur, we just don't need to explain that really because, you know, he just went to Liverpool last season, spent a few weeks there and Klopp already had enough of him. And he was just such a waste of money, to put it short. I mean, at the very beginning, I thought, decent player, but 80 million? Not worth that. And now we'd be lucky to get 50 for him at this point in time. Like, I don't know how on earth we decided to spend 80 mil on Arthur, but it's just a player that is just a waste of resources and I think has to go. So I have no issues with that whatsoever. Matteo De Sciglio, I have no issues with him not being part of the project anymore. He's just hardly playing, is always injured. He is just made of glass. He is just not reliable to have in the team. Although he's been around for a few years, and I do have a bit of loyalty for players that have been with Juventus for some time, but he's just not hardly playing. He's on a decent contract, and we're just paying him for absolutely nothing 9 times out of 10. So I agree with that 100%, that he should go. Now, there are some that I'm a bit undecisive about. Nicolosi, for one, hasn't been selected, and he is not going to be part of the project, so it seems. And I think that's a bit harsh. I mean, I'm not against it completely because he's not one of our main players. And he was promising in large parts of last season, but then sometimes you could just see in certain games his inexperience can be costly. But with Nicolosi, I don't think that just selling him would be the right move. Having him on loan so he can get guaranteed game time, and then we can see in like a full season what it is he can actually do, how consistent he can be. Can he be the main man in a team? So I think that would be the right move. I wouldn't cut my losses with Nicolosi completely. But as of right now, I can't see him getting any game time, if I'm being completely honest. Maybe a couple of games. The most I can see Nicolosi playing is 3-4 games. And when you're a young player, you want the chance to show how good you are. And I think being a very good graduate of the Juventus Academy, he should be given some time to see whether or not he can get into the squad. But loan would be the best move for Nicolosi, in my opinion. Another one is Daniele Rugani. Like I said, I'm a very loyal servant to Juventus. He's been around since 2015, won numerous trophies, and has shown to be a good rotation centre-half. And I think it could be a good move for us to sell him, because I think we can still get a decent amount of financial gain from Rugani. And I even said last season that he should be a player that we should be looking to push out. But some of his performances last season, he did very well, scoring like important goals from set pieces. He is defensively a solid defender. Not a centre-half that I would say we should start. But for him right now, I think rotation is probably all he can get. And I wouldn't be too quick to sell Rugani. It's one that I'm kind of on the fence with, if I'm being honest. And I would be happy either way, whether he would stay or whether he would go. I don't have real strong thoughts on Rugani leaving or Rugani staying. It's one of them where I would be happy with either outcome. Now, another one, Szczesny. Harsh to say he should be gone. Harsh. I know I've been calling for a new starting goalkeeper, but a rotation goalkeeper where he could play 10 to 15 games, which I think he could do. But being a starter for Juventus for the last few seasons, I'm not entirely sure whether or not he would accept that. And he'd be probably looking to start Di Gregorio, who we just brought in from Monza. And he is a promising goalkeeper. But then we also have Pedin there. And maybe Motta thinks that Pedin should remain as a rotation goalkeeper, the second choice. I think it is still harsh to say that he should no longer be part of the project. Although he has had plenty of games where he hasn't performed to the level that we need at Juventus, but most of the time he has produced stunning saves, important saves during the game. There's been countless times where he has saved our arses in matches. And I think that he should have one last season with Juventus as a rotation keeper, and pushing out Pedin will probably be the right move. And I think his experience with Juventus will be a great help in helping Motta get Di Gregorio getting more confident in the team. And I think that that should be the best move on our part. Just keeping Szczesny for one more season and then letting him go next year so that he can sort of be a mentor in many ways to Di Gregorio, who is a good keeper, don't get me wrong. And I think give it a year or two, probably would already show more promise than what Szczesny has shown. But I think with the time that he's been at Juventus and how well he's done for us, we should give him that little bit of respect of just keeping him on for one more season. That is my thoughts on Szczesny no longer being part of the project. And then the last two, I'm shocked. I am so shocked. First one is Weston McKennie. McKennie last season was one of our most important players. 2 seasons ago, if I'd have heard myself saying that, I would have laughed. But he has been he was phenomenal last season. There were only a handful of players that I can say in the Allegri system, which is the most deepest, most defensive system I have seen as a football fan. On God, that system was the deepest, most defensive system I've ever seen in my life. Him, along the likes of Chiesa and Vlahovic, Miretti, is one of the only few that were really trying to push. When everyone was being defensive, he was the only one driving forward, trying to make something happen. Our top assister in all competitions last season. Scored some important goals. His link-up with Vlahovic was beautiful. His link-up on that right-hand side with Cambiasso was beautiful. And I don't understand why we decided to push him out straight away. If of all the players that should be pushed out, McKennie is not one of them. McKennie was absolutely crucial for us last season. And he has warranted another season. He has warranted a long-term contract with Juventus based on his performances last season. A very good player last season. His crossing was magnificent. Link up with the midfield, perfect. His movement to get in dangerous positions off the ball as well, incredible. So I think that is absolutely crazy to try and push out McKennie, where he should be one of the guaranteed players to continue with Juventus this season. And then last, but definitely not least, and is the one I'm going to be talking about the most, Chiesa. I might be going crazy here, right? Look, I'm not going to say that I know more about the game than Motta. He's a seasoned player. He's now a coach that has guided Bologna to Champions League football. But Chiesa, you want to push Chiesa out, who is probably one of, if not our best players when he arrived. A seasoned player who's performed at high levels, was one of the best players in Euro 2021. I know I keep going on about that, but his performances there before he got that ACL injury, he was one of the most crucial players in that tournament. This season as well. Countless times where I've seen the whole team sitting deep. When Chiesa gets the ball, he wants to drive forward. He don't care about the tactics of the game plan. If the team's sitting down deep, he wants to win. The desire you see from Chiesa is unquestionable. You can't doubt his effort towards scoring goals. And I understand, after his ACL injury, I will be completely honest, he does not look like the same player that we saw at Juventus in his first season. But you have to bear in mind, any quality attacking player, right? And there's exceptions, but most quality attacking players, if they play in the system that Chiesa has been playing in for the last couple of seasons under Allegri, you know you're not going to see the best out of him. It's the same with Vlahovic. If he was under a very attack-minded coach for the last couple of seasons, he would be doubling his output for goal scoring. Chiesa would be creating more and scoring more. And his determination, his pace, his creativity, lethal on both feet, and is an absolute phenomenal player to watch on his day. You can't be serious in saying that you want to push Chiesa out. And the last couple of seasons, I see Allegri playing him out of position. And I see in the last Euros, Spalletti was playing Chiesa out of position. Chiesa, for the last few seasons, has not had it easy one little bit, constantly moving positions, and he has had issues with his injury, so maybe that is a part of it. That's the only thing what I would say. Fair play. Now, that's a fair argument to have. But is everyone blind? Chiesa is absolutely crucial for any team he plays at. He is a world-class player. I know people are going to say that that is a crazy statement to say, but he's proved it. He is proven to be a world-class player, and he learned a lot. He's come out and said a lot how much he has learned from Cristiano Ronaldo. He's been mentored by one of the greatest players of all time when he first came to Juventus, and all the leaders that were around him, the likes of Chiellini, Bonucci, Buffon, have guided him at the beginning. His attitude is what every single football player should aspire to have. And the disrespect I have seen on Federico Chiesa for the last couple of seasons is nothing short of disgusting. And this, look, I have got faith that Motta is going to do the business for us. I have faith that he's going to bring forward a more attacking mentality that Juventus fans have been crying out for 3 seasons under Allegri, which we've not been seeing. More of, exciting football to watch. And that we're on the trajectory to start competing again, consistently. Not just have little spurts during the season, like a couple months where we are near the top or on top. And we can pick up a couple of results and then just go quiet for the rest of the season. We want to see us competing for all the trophies throughout the whole season. And I think Motta can do that for us. But I think this could be the biggest mistake in his first season for Juventus. You cannot push Chiesa out. Keep Chiesa. He is a player that I honestly would have gone into this season and think if we're not selling him, he's got to stay. He's got to be the starter for almost every single game. And like I said, he's not the same player. But even now, Chiesa, when you have him in a team, he has to start. He is an absolute leader on the pitch. Creativity is just second to none. He can score great goals. His link-up play in the attacking third is phenomenal. Phenomenal dribbler. And I just don't understand. You can't push Chiesa out. This is just a shocking move by Motta's part, and I think he has to reconsider that situation completely. Most of them players there, or at least half of them, I agree with. They shouldn't be part of the project anymore. But Chiesa, I will never say that Chiesa should no longer be part of Juventus. Because as long as he's at Juventus, he should be a starter. And we, if anything, should be giving him an extension because this will be his last season. And I think we're probably looking at it. We're not going to give him a contract, so we'll get rid of him. If you still got a player of Chiesa's ability in your team, I don't care about how much we're going to get. Because so far, it just looks like we'll be getting, 20, 25 mil for Chiesa. That is what the offers have been so far. And Chiesa is worth a hell of a lot more than that. And to sell him for 25 million would be a disgrace. And Motta should just completely cut out that idea that Chiesa should not be a part of this team. But look, that's my thoughts on the players no longer being part of the Juventus project, according to Thiago Motta. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below.